Yes, people, and welcome to another edition of your Spurs Kings weekly dosage on a very special edition, I would say, for myself. My co-host is Oren. Big up.
Taking over.
Taking over, guys. Well,
What's wrong with Marlon? Is he sick?
Well, I don't know. I never asked you not to be.
Oh, yeah. That's all good.
Sometimes it's best not to ask.
Yeah. Just let it go.
You know what I mean? Can't make. Okay, cool. Do you? Yeah, you let me know.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, make sure, guys, you do hit the like and share and subscribe button on the way in. It helps us to be seen, helps us for the algorithm. But Oren,
yeah,
how are you? Are you good?
Good. Yeah. Just dealing with bugs trying to get me, but
Going around, man.
Good. I'm just like chilling out.
Yeah, man.
Enjoying the entertainment.
I've had a couple guests that couldn't make it because of the bug that's going around, man.
Yeah. It's like on and off, like, so it's just been keeping myself to myself, working away. But yeah, not getting attached to this whole drama, just sitting back. It's like deja vu. It's like deja vu. It's like
it really is. It really is. It's starting
this
to be
time last year, yeah.
Bit of a pattern, right?
Yeah, it was exactly the same thing. Well, the one difference that I think, because I was thinking about this before coming on stream, it's like I've never ever heard, as long as I've supported Spurs, I'm sure you have as well.
Mm-hmm.
We've never ever heard the fans or the Spurs fans singing to the Spurs manager, "You're getting sacked in the morning." That's a new level.
Listen. Before we get into it, as my co-host, we do have a guest backstage. I want to bring him in, and he's been on the show once, and I wanted to welcome him back. He goes by the name of George. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. How's things?
As I say to you backstage, I am tired, very tired. But you guys seem to be all right, man. So I need to be taking a leaf out of you guys' books.
Yeah, I got my sort of bug out of the way 2 weeks back, so I'm fighting strong now. So yeah,
you say you had the ginger ale.
Yeah, the whole thing.
The honey and the lemon. I get it.
Yeah. My girlfriend's full on with the kind of, she knows exactly what to bring forward.
With the magic touch,
the whole thing, but all towel over your head, steamer, garlic,
Yeah. So
yeah, guys.
in the hot water, get those fumes,
Yeah, I mean, we definitely need it. I know some of the players, and listen, we had a game. We had a small derby on the weekend. I don't know if you guys saw it. It was against West Ham. You heard of them? East Londoners. Yeah, we played West Ham, and I don't know the stats off the top of my head, but I do know that their win rate was abysmal, and they're in the bottom three. I think it was something
10 games without a win.
Okay, thank you. 10 games without a win. Did anyone predict going into the game that we were going to win this game? First of all, that's what I want to know.
I didn't think we were going to win it. I didn't think we were going to lose it, though. I thought it'd be more of that kind of crawling to 40 points. Like we're crawling to 40 points. I thought it'd be point here, point against Burnley. Like I couldn't imagine we'd lose it. That's another level of, and more worrying. I don't think the board even considered we'd lose it, because every action they made in the week leading up to it and everything they've done since tells me that they didn't seriously consider that we could lose that match. All those shows of support, like the Conor Gallagher signing and positioning him as quite a key player in securing the Gallagher deal, his telephone call, all of that stuff. Johnny Heitinga, someone who you put as part of his team, knowing fully well that you're not ready to have Johnny Heitinga step in as a manager within a week of being, on a coaching staff. For one thing, he's just been fired as an Ajax boss just a few weeks ago. So it would be a horrible look for him to now inherit the reins. It's almost as if they thought, if we give all those sort of public shows of backing, it can at the very least get us through this next few weeks. Like, we'll beat West Ham, we'll beat Burnley, and then, we will weather the worst of this. I don't think it truly occurred to them that we could lose this off the back of losing to Bournemouth and Villa, and the fans who are always going to do this if we'd lost this match would put them in a position where it almost looks impossible that he can stay. Whether they choose, and it seems like they've chosen to extend him beyond this match, maybe the next couple. I think the decision, there's one thing to push the button, there's another to have made the decision and start actively speaking to others who might be able to step in at some point.
Oren, same question to you, man. After, like, George spoke on it, there was a statement brought out by the club. Vinay actually spoke about current affairs in terms of where we're going to be, what, you know, looked at it as a macro kind of, I'd say a macro statement where he expects us to be. He spoke about transfers as well, spoke about where the club is, talked about, you know, things going on behind the scenes. With all that being said, and knowing the importance of this game, off the back of what, a loss of against, who did we play? Was it Bournemouth we lost against?
Bournemouth
and Villa.
Yeah.
Bournemouth and Villa. Do you think the board even saw this one coming? Do you think they saw the loss coming?
No. I think, well, the board have to have a bit of naivety, and I think coaches have to have a bit of naivety. But like anyone who's listening to this stream, and did you watch the match?
I watched the whole match.
And did you watch the match?
I saw the last part of it.
Right. So even seeing the last part of it.
Yeah.
1-1.
Mm-hmm.
When West Ham got that corner.
Yeah.
Everyone who's a Spurs fan, even pundits, knew what was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It was written.
Right. Yeah.
Everyone knew it. When the goal went in, the Spurs fans were like, we knew it was going to happen. It was just written in the books.
Yeah.
Colin Wilson comes on, aggression causes the goal. That's the difference. So like, then the booing started, but even like I was listening to Alistair goal, and he said even the journalist sitting next to him said, "This is going to be a goal." You just sense it.
Do you know the only goal more predictable than that one in probably in my lifetime was the winning goal we conceded the game before, the Semenyo one. I think the Semenyo one was probably the most predictable goal in football history.
Yeah.
I remember thinking there is zero way he comes out of this farewell match without being the story. Yeah. And he hadn't had a shot until that point. So the minute I saw him fling his foot back, I went, here we go. Yeah. One way or another, this is going in.
Yeah. So basically, I just felt that it's at home. West Ham have a better attack, and basically Frank is dealing with the after effects of last season. And the thing is, last season and this season, the difference is the defense and the attack.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Last season, and I think what happened was that Angie, because he prioritized Mickey van de Ven and Romero, played them sparingly. They're now fit. Perry was always there. Vic was kind of back, but they're ready to go. But I think the likes of Kuleveski, Solanke play through injuries, and so now Frank is dealing with that. Yes, a lot of Spurs fans booed Frank. A lot of Spurs fans will say Frank out. But this is the moment when I did with Angie the same. As a Spurs fan, I take a step back and become a football fan, and just look at the bigger picture. What is actually happening? And if you look at Frank and Brentford, he always had 3 good attackers or 2 good attackers. 2 wingers who are fast, and he always Ivan Toney or the other guy that's now scored 17 goals or whatever. Big, strong guys who can hold the ball up. 2 wingers.
Tony, we saw Brumo.
Yeah.
And
players who knew
to Watkins,
yeah. Players who knew to run in behind, knew when to cut in. They were instinctive. They knew what to do as attackers. Frank has had to use Odebear, who is a number 10. He's on a left winger. He's on a right winger. He's a number 10. 20 years old, can't make decisions for himself, always want to shoot.
Isn't he not being played in number 10 though?
That's the point. That's the thing. So that means that Frank has had to shift the formation and have 2 number 10s. But he needs a wide man. Like, because Spurs have no width. So it's easy to defend against Spurs. Till, I would say, is more of a striker. than a left. And then you're playing Kalamamani, who was bought in for the backup striker.
But wouldn't you say Porro was a little bit higher and wider? And
but that's what I'm saying.
Compensated for the
width. But that's what I'm saying. If you look at the formation at the start, Wilson was out wide. But Frank quickly realized that Wilson can't beat a man, can't get crosses in. So then he had to make that tactical change, which made it even easier for West Ham to defend.
So wait, what are we saying then? Are we saying that Frank has been given a bad hand, similar to what Ange had, and therefore the club are going in a different direction to what they were last season, and they're trying to give him more time? Is that what you're essentially saying, or like?
No, what I'm saying is, what I'm saying is that Frank, like Angie, had to use patch up defense.
Yeah,
Frank has had to use a patch up.
Archie Gray and Dragushin.
Yeah, look at that was mad. You know what I mean? That was. But at the same time, it's kind of like in that between, because do the club go out and buy top strikers or whatever? Because then they'll have that build up of players that no longer wanted. So I think Frank is working with the best of what he has, and he's dealing with what he has. I mean, for Spurs to have scored 30 goals, this season is quite. You got to give him credit for that. You know what I mean? But every time Spurs broke, and even Xavi's getting criticized, because when you don't have three proper attackers, it trickles. The players start trying to do more. Xavi, who wants to pass the ball and move, he's going to start running. Conor Gallagher's going to start getting up front. Archie Gray's going to start doing something. So when you have the players who are meant to be creative or defend trying to attack, and the attacking players not attacking, that creates madness. And that's what you saw. I mean, when you're watching that, like George, you watching that match, and Somerville,
yeah.
I mean, every time you see that, you're thinking that's the player Spurs need right there. Direct, fast, gets to the byline or cuts in. Spurs don't have that. And then Colin Wilson, I'm thinking, imagine if Spurs had a player like that to bring on. Who's going to fight, be aggressive.
So George, do you agree with what Oren is saying here? Like he's been
only some of it. For me, there are different stages in player availability this season. Right now, of course, like literally this week is as bad or worse than anything Ange had to deal with last season. We're down to 11 or 12 fit players.
So it's worse. It's worse than what Ange had to deal with. Is that what you're saying?
Player availability. Yeah. For tomorrow, we've got 12 fit players. 12. You're going to get a bench of players who have never played for the first team before tomorrow. So just this week. Yeah. But if we look across the season, and this is where I do disagree, we need to remember that just 2 years ago, Spurs finished 5th with Richarlison as our only actual forward, as our only number 9. We sold Kane. Richarlison played as number 9 all season. Son every so often stepped into that position, but Son was basically a left winger. We hadn't yet bought Solanke at that point, and we finished 5th, right? So whilst there's clear issues of unavailability in key positions that have cost us a certain kind of attacking quality and experience, so big loss of Kulusevski for both Ange in the second half of last season and Frank for his entire time at Spurs so far. Definite loss of Maddison, who, although I think has got a ceiling, I think that ceiling is a lot higher than the sort of performances we've been putting up in the final third this year. So Maddison is therefore a loss too. Richarlison now is unavailable, so we lose those goals. Solanke has been unavailable all season up until this point. So yeah, of course, he's done, we were never going to be that prolific, losing that many different forwards. But when it really comes down to it, this isn't really an issue of quality or lack of quality in these players. We just have a very young, inexperienced team. This team playing now, this front four, has got to be the youngest front four in the Premier League. There will be no younger front four than this one you've been seeing of Odegaard, Bell, Kolomwani, and Javi, right? Which is basically our front four. Kolomwani is the oldest one. He must be, 25, 26? Yeah. It's 27. So it's a very, very young...
What about Chelsea's? Chelsea, they got quite a young front line.
Chelsea are the youngest team in the Premier League, no doubt. But
they've got Stavo right wing. They've got Garnacho left wing. I think Stavo's 18. I think Garnacho's like 20.
Yeah.
And then up top, the lap. quite young.
I think
João
João
Pedro's
Pedro
young.
probably starts more than Delap, but yeah, João Pedro is.
Sorry, yeah, you're right. João Pedro is quite young.
He's quite young, but older than
23?
Delap. Yeah,
But they're struggling to score goals though.
yeah, Chelsea are
Fair
they're
point.
the youngest team in the Premier League, right? So you know
Palmer's
their
quite
average
young
age.
as well.
Yeah. There's no doubt. For me, Thomas Frank has been unlucky when it comes to player availability, just like Ange was last season. Whatever we think of Ange, his record with 80% of the team available was 5th place in his first season and top half in his second season until the thing became ridiculous. And then he had no damage control. He was so bound to a particular way of playing that he didn't have the wherewithal to be able to come up with a good contingency for when we had as many unavailable as we did. And this is where I'm a bit disappointed in Thomas Frank, because I felt like he had the tools as a manager that even in a situation like this, he'd have enough to manage results. And I think a big part of his inability to manage these results in the last month is, I think he's slowly but surely losing a sense of who he really is as a manager. The different voices, the fan voices, the pundit voices, probably some senior player voices. I'm going to get onto a certain irresponsible Argentinian captain in a minute. Yeah. All of these different voices combined, he's losing a sense of who he is. I've heard him in a few different interviews recently talk about, if you can't win a game, make sure you don't lose a game. Okay, that makes sense in principle. Stop that tape before the Semenyo goal and tell me what part of the team shape at that point puts that message into practice of, if you can't win a game, make damn well sure you don't lose it. That's your danger man. What are we doing to stop that danger man at source? Look at this winning goal at West Ham. My brother actually was the one who pointed it out to me. My younger brother is also a Spurs fan. Romero, it's unbelievable. Have a pause of where Romero is when they break right at the end, which results in Porro's block, which leads to the corner. Have a look. Just pause the tape when they make their final third play. I remember thinking, where is Romero?
I brought this up.
He'd done a Senegal before Senegal. I thought, where is he? Like, he's left the pitch. And then I had a look, and he's literally on his own on the halfway line. He's nowhere near where he should be at a key moment of the match, which is why Porro does a very desperate last-ditch thing, which saved us one goal, but led directly or indirectly to the winning goal. Thomas Frank doesn't feel emboldened to be the manager he truly is, which is, as we've already pointed out many times, a bit risk-averse, a little bit cautious when it ultimately comes down to it. But that caution, I think, would have turned a West Ham game into a 1-1, Bournemouth game into a 2-2, a number of games this season where we've gone against our nature or against better wisdom based on who we've got available to us, where we've lost games at the end. I think his inability to manage the result is worrying for me, because it speaks of a manager who just doesn't feel confident, emboldened, trusted by players, fans, you know?
So, like, off the back of that, then, do you guys think, okay, actually, no, Oren, you've got a slightly different view. You still think that, you know, the lack of available players is seriously hampering it, like, seriously affecting the way he's essentially playing. So, just off that, what George was saying, like, what is there a cause for concern that he might not be able to manage some of these individuals? Because you're always saying it's the players, it's not the manager. We can go through managers as many times as we want, but it's the players that are going to be here. They're the ones the problem. They're the ones with a mentality issue. Is players like Romero undermining the manager by floating off and being a striker? Or is he doing it because the handbrake is on? We're clearly, at that point, we were 1-0 down and we needed to go for the game. And Romero said, you know what, forget the tactic. I'm going to step up. I'm going to be the leader. I'm going to get the goal. And he went up front. He ends up getting the goal.
That's it. Because, like, the Romero incident when he's on his way back, I think he's up there again, and he lands awkwardly from a corner, and he's holding his back. And as he's walking back, you can see it, because as it was breaking, I was like, what's Romero doing? And he's actually holding his back. So I think he landed badly, and he gets up, and then when they got a corner, so it kind of gave him by ball. But it's what we're seeing is that these players, I truly believe that some of these Spurs players are not so much annoyed at Frank, they're annoyed at the players they're playing with. And I use the metaphor of, well, we all have jobs, and say we have to work part of a team, and we say like we're, 3 of us are working our asses off, and then 2 are just messing around, doing nothing, half-assed. It's going to affect the whole team because we're going to have to work harder. So it's the likes of, say, Odegaard. He gives up even before he starts, doesn't chase anything down. When he loses it, he doesn't try and run back. And I don't think I think it's just a player's mentality of not caring, of not wanting to care. Again, it's a case of, I think it was against Bournemouth, was it? Who does Jordan Henderson plays for? Was it Bournemouth?
Brentford,
right? Odegaard gets the ball. Jordan Henderson
gets outran by
35 years old, beats a 21-year-old. That shouldn't happen, right? So when you look at players like that, and every time you watch the Spurs team, it's like the back 4 kind of have a link up. They understand each other. The middle 3 understand each other, but the front 3 have no idea of where they are, who they are. Instead of making a pass, they want to take a shot. And even when Richarlison was there, so it's kind of the decision making. So lead to the example of what Romero is trying to do. Romero is trying to win them the game, because if he'd have went up and headed the ball in and scored the goal, we'd be going, it's 2-2. He's a great captain. He's our leader, or 2-1. Sorry, and that's what I'm saying. Because if you have poor attacking, that's what I said earlier. Because Spurs have a front 3 that are poor attacking, other players feel that they have to do it for them.
But that's not professional. Like that's a road. But that's a road. Matter. It's a road to nowhere. I mean, when Harry Maguire does stuff like that, or when David Luiz used to do stuff like that, they'd get killed, right? For just rogue defending, where it's like, I've got natural goal scoring ability. I'm just gonna go for a wonder, 70, 80 yards. And remember, I'm saying this in a game where Romero actually scored, so it's not as if my memory sort of blurred. Or, he literally did the thing that you just described of going up there and doing the striker's job for him. But this is not structured football. Like, that belongs in the Ange era. In fact, it belongs in the Ozzy Ardiles era of the free-for-all of, the strikers aren't doing it, so I'll do it. That thing that you said about the frustration with other players' level of application or even competency, let's really break that down for a second, because one of the criticisms that I don't enjoy about this Spurs team is the idea that somehow the application isn't there. I think there are bigger problems than that in terms of compatibility in the team, tactical, just a level of organization. Because if you look at effort, one by one, very quickly, Porro's a really hard-working player. For all his flaws, he's a dog. Yeah, he's a guy who he's a dog. That's his style. Van der Ven he never saw a tackle he didn't like, right? Van der Ven never backs out of a tackle. Romero himself, we know what he's about when it comes to tackling. Jed Spence, aggressive player, not a guy who's very standoffish. João Palhinha, probably the most aggressive player in the entire squad. Lucas Bergvall, hard-working. Xavi Simons, hard-working to a fault. Like, doesn't know how to tackle, ends up doing Paul Scholes impersonations, just bad tackling, right? But a very hard-working guy. Richarlison, another dog who has lots of flaws, but you can't fault his effort, right? So are we literally... Matisse Tel, another guy who's been working very, very hard, not necessarily seeing the rewards for his effort, but definitely working hard. So are we pinning all of this on Odegaard? Because I don't think we have a lazy team. I think we've got a lot of guys who are using their bodies, but they're not using their brains. Yeah, we've got a lot of guys who are willing to die for the cause, but it's structureless, so it doesn't really mean anything. You see, Palhinha do mad overhead kicks and stuff. That's brilliant, but
that's the thing. But that's the thing. What you're saying is all accurate, but we're only seeing this when Spurs are 1-0 down in the second half.
Sure,
but you're not seeing this from the start. So basically, it's like
reactive, as you're saying.
Yeah, they're reactive. Now, so what I'm saying is, when you start seeing those players working hard, yes, there's working hard for yourself and there's working hard for the team. Spurs have the front three work hard. They might say they work hard, but they work hard for themselves. Till works hard, but what Till will do, cut in, tries to strike all the time. Doesn't look up the pass. The reason why is because he's a right-footed player on the left-hand side.
Exactly.
So I understand that. So I understand that. But then it's a case of, right, Odegaard, I don't think he works hard enough. He does the bare minimum. And again, the decision making. So basically, what you're saying is we have hardworking players, but they are poor decision making. So that's not good.
Sure, I didn't say that was good, but my point is
Yeah.
the very specific criticism of their application, for me, gets in the way of the bigger issue, which is what's the structure in which they're operating under. So when you say things like Tell's playing on his wrong foot, or inside forward, or Kudus playing on his wrong foot, who makes these decisions?
Well, this
is a structural thing. You can bring the team back to conventionality by playing right-footers on the right wing and left-footers on the left wing. In a situation like this, where we've been short of numbers and at points short of quality, you make a manager. This is when they earn their salt. This is when they go, look, I'm going to think a little differently here, and with what I've got to work with, I'm going to change it up. Antonio Conte looked at a Chelsea team and thought, we lack width in key positions. For me, fullback positions, we don't have those players. I'm going to turn Victor Moses into a right back. Everyone's like, what? Victor Moses into a what? And he ended up being a right back good enough to win Conte the league at Chelsea, right? The best managers can think their way out of these situations. Thomas Frank has been very conventional here, not necessarily doing anything that a lot of average managers wouldn't do. But that's the big criticism of him, is that he's, in a sense, doing what he's always done. But it doesn't quite cut it when you're managing a club where the expectations are very, very high, whether the players are available, whether the budget's there. The expectations are not Brentford expectations. And I think he's doing Brentford thinking with these tools. And I think it needs something a little different. It needs something a bit more inspiring, because for the first time, and this is unlucky for him, for the first time in God knows how many years, Spurs don't have a world-class attacking player to bail these guys out. For years, we were riding off Modric and Bale and Van der Vaart and the more recent ones of Kane and Eriksen and Son. We literally don't have any of that now. So any coach we have has got to do so much heavy lifting. They can't afford to not find the best possible solution with the players that we've got. And for me, as been someone who's been very patient with Thomas Frank, I've been on these sort of forums and said, slow down, everyone. It's easy to get him out the door. Much harder to, who do we pick up? Where does this club go from here? I've been looking closely at the last month and went, where is the inspiration? Where are those moves? Where are those moves that the top managers can make in a situation like this?
Off the back of that, sorry to cut you. There is a player that we did bring in called Xavi Simons. And now Oren's talked about, hard work. Some of these players, they don't work hard enough, or they work for themselves individually. How do we feel about a player that, who's one of our marquee signings, came in? Maddison, obviously, he was a playmaker, got injured. He's come in now. He's taken the reins. What's happened with him? What's going on with Xavi Simons? What are your thoughts?
I've got a lot of thoughts, but Oren, do you want to go first?
I feel like it's going to be a lot of agreeing here, but go on.
He has potential, but like I said before, when you have attackers, you just aren't making. And George, I understand what you're saying about swapping them over, but he's tried that and it didn't work either. Because the thing is, what I'm trying to explain to you is, like, when a player plays for himself, he's also selfish. So that means he doesn't want to, like, for example, I'm blessed to be able to say Kane and Son. Remember when Kane had a bad season? He would find Son at a pinpoint. I think it was the last game, against Leeds. he swing that ball. That's what Keane would do. He was having a bad game, a bad season, but he says, you know what? I'm going to make sure my mate gets the golden boot.
Yeah.
That's the difference, right? And Son was the same. You're not seeing that at Spurs. Even when Richarlison was playing, it's all about him. And I'll give you a perfect example of this. Champions League, Copenhagen, 4-0 up, 4-1 up, sorry.
The penalty.
Scarlett wins it, and he misses it.
Yeah.
So from that moment on, I went, no respect for some player like that. That's not a team player. So that's what I'm saying. Even if they swap them over, because these players' mentality is, I'm going to shoot, I'm going to score, I'm going to be the one. It means that they're not looking for their teammates. It means they're not making the right runs. They're not working for each other. And again, that's what Son and, like, when Jose Mourinho was in charge of Spurs, he ran everything off Son and Kane. I was watching the Man City. It's really weird. In the 3-4 years that Spurs have been up and down, the one thing that seems consistent is them beating Man City. Like, we can watch that. But it was against Man City when Kane drops deep. Son knows what he's doing. Kane doesn't even look. He doesn't even glance. He just knew instinctively. And Son's making that run for his teammate. Kulusevski then makes that run for his teammate. So what I'm saying is that with Xavi, he has to have runners. He has to have guys making the right runs, not just running in the same direction as defenders.
Sure.
He has to have someone like even a Solanke coming back is going to benefit him, because Solanke will go this way and move that way. Or Solanke will go, right, I'm going to run this way, taking this defender with me, give you space. I'm not just going to stand and watch you and back up and back up and back up until it's too late. So I think Xavi it's going to make him, hopefully, it's going to make him better, because he isn't come to Spurs and it's all great and he's, hitting free kicks and all. He's going through a bad time with the whole club. And they did a press conference today, which I thought it was very mature. And I think him being at different clubs as well has added that maturity, and he's working. He's training in the gym. He's getting tougher. He's getting bigger. He's not getting pushed over as much anymore.
Yeah.
So I think that everyone behind that front three is being affected by that front three. It's exactly the same as everyone in front of the back four that isn't good is going to be affected.
Yeah. For me, there's only so much emphasis I ever want to put on individual players when there's such a dysfunctional kind of sense of what we're building, like the structure that we're putting together as a club. When we buy players, recognizing the obvious gaps in the team. I remember when Ramos had won the League Cup, and I was looking forward to that summer of like, okay, we finally won something. There was another long gap in between the George Graham trophy and that one. Ramos, proven manager at that point, had come off several, back-to-back Sevilla Europa Leagues. Yeah, I was feeling good about the club at that point. Then in one summer, we did Giovanni Dos Santos, Luka Modric, Roman Pavlyuchenko, Fraser Campbell.
Yeah.
It was just such a random bunch of mainly small players, mainly technical. And you thought, how's this going to work? Like, you've brought in so many unproven Premier League players at once, and you've got rid of so many proven Premier League players at once. This is not going to start well. And Spurs fans are not the most patient when a club are doing something like this. That was the famous 2 points in 8 games, right? Where he was fired. Harry comes in. The first thing Harry did was the most common sense thing to do. Bring back all the players we sold. Bought Robbie Keane, bought Jermaine Defoe, bought Younes Kabul. Immediately, like in his first month, he went, sorry, big mistake, bring them all back. Let's get back to being a Premier League ready team again. It's kind of how I felt a bit about some of the business that we just did this summer. I have no issue with Xavi Simons. I've seen enough of him as a young player. I've seen quite a bit of him in that very small spell at PSV. My best mate lives in Amsterdam. His kids are already kind of being lined up a bit for that Ajax Academy stuff. So we've always kind of kept our eye a bit on the league there. I like a lot of his attributes, but I was just thinking, for us to lose Son so soon after losing Kane, and missing out on Eze, missing out on Gibbs White, Premier League ready, and we feel that the substitute for all of this is a 22, 23-year-old young, quite slight player playing in a position that's really niche, you know, a difficult position to command. You've seen how long it's taken Florian Wirtz to start working up real performances for Liverpool now. I could see this happening. This reminds me so much, in fact, of that Ramos start of the season. You know, you look at the team, you think this is not fit for purpose. It's not Premier League.
Are you saying then maybe with one or two players that have a higher technical level, similar to what Oren was saying? He said he needs runners off the ball. Are you saying the opposite, where someone that's similar to his skill set that could help raise his floor a bit in terms of what he does on the pitch?
I think I may have said this last time I was on the show. I definitely said it when I was on like Barnaby's show. Like the position, and this is why the Conor Gallagher thing has annoyed me. Not because I've got any
Let's talk
beef.
about that as well.
Yeah, not because I've got any beef with Conor Gallagher. And I've seen the best of him, and the best of him is an asset to someone, right? No doubt. But we've just, since Moussa Dembele, this club has just been crying out for somebody who can dictate tempo, who can pick the ball up from the back four with their back to goal, roll an attacking midfield player and start initiating, start popping it, yeah? A Michael Carrick type player, a Dembele, a Modric. We're crying out. Well, Ndombele was the problem.
No, not just Ndombele.
There's some basic things.
Basuma as well.
There's some
they
basic.
bought two
highly creative players, but
they did mentally they weren't there.
Mentally,
I'll tell you, yeah, exactly. So not beyond their mental flaws, you only needed to look at the body type of Ndombele in the French league, which is like 3 times as slow as the Premier League, to know there is zero way he would be able to live with this tempo. He doesn't have an athlete's body at all. Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. Yeah. So that one was an accident always waiting to happen. Basuma's slightly different. Basuma, yeah, on the surface, it seems like he gives you a little bit of that Moussa Dembele thing. I think at Brighton, he never gave me, from what I saw, he never quite gave me that full season at any point for me to believe we were buying some kind of guarantee. I feel like I knew we were taking a little bit of a budget risk there, you know, paying a bit less than we could have in that position in the hope that we saw more of his good days than his bad days. But he never gave me that season or two to make me think, yep, we're buying Moises Caicedo. I never had that feeling.
So I take it you're not a massive fan of our midfielding at the moment in terms of like an Archie Gray with Paulinho. I know Paulinho won't be able to start tomorrow because we'll talk about Dortmund for a second, but
we've had for the longest time, and it's understandable because of our wage structure. We've had squads full of players who do one or two things incredibly well, but are so short in other areas. And that's what you get at this price point, right? At the price point where you pay, you get Brennan
40
Johnson.
million. 40 million though for Championship.
I guess more the salary. Yeah, I'm thinking more about the salary.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Brennan Johnson.
But what about Conor Gallagher? What salary is he not on? A decent salary?
He's on a good salary, but he's not on that. When you pay 300 grand, 350 grand a week salaries, you're buying the complete player, right? In principle, right? You're buying the finished article. We don't punch at that level. We punch at that level where you get João Palhinha, arguably as good a tackler as there is anywhere in Europe, but cannot pass a football more than 10 meters. And when he does it 10 meters, it's not at the correct pace, weight of pass. That's not his game. Or Brennan Johnson, who is incredibly effective as a late arriver into the box finisher, but can't dribble, doesn't have a through ball. There's always a flaw. That's what you play with at this budget that we're operating at, which is why your manager's got to be at the highest possible.
Isn't that down to the club then? Go on, Oren, say.
Yeah, but that's just, I understand. Yeah, I mean, there's always a flaw, but like I'm back to the whole player thing, because there's always a flaw in every player, but it's up to that player to get better and work on their flaw.
It's levels of flaws, though, is it?
No, it's like no. Even if you look at, I'm just going to put it out there. If you look at Ronaldo or Lionel Messi when they first started, they had flaws, but what made them better was that they worked on their flaws every time in training ground. And Glasner came out and said it, and Sean Dice came out and said it about the players. You know, you come knocking on my door expecting a game, I give you one, and this is what you do. Don't come knocking if you're not ready. So basically, it's kind of links back to, you know, Jose Mourinho with Dele Alli. He sat with, I mean, at the time I was looking at that and thinking, oh, he's making Dele a scapegoat. But Jose Mourinho was right. What he was saying to Dele Alli was, you have big moments, but you don't have enough of them. And what he was trying to tell Dele Alli is, it's up to you to work harder, to train harder, to stay behind for 2 hours and practice what your weaknesses are. Harry Kane is a prime example of that.
Sure.
He practiced and practiced. I mean, it's Elise. So every player comes with a weakness, but it's up to them. And I think at Spurs right now, and in the last, maybe not right now, in the last 5 years, the players are pampered. They, you know, think about it. Take away Son, maybe, and Kane. When have you heard a Spurs player say, I want to be the best in the world? I stay behind and I train, I practice. When have you even heard Spurs player talking about another Spurs player doing that? Oh, you know, he's always in the front and he'll train harder. He'll do this. He'll do that.
Could you apply that same thinking and logic with Conor Gallagher then? Because Conor Gallagher comes across as a well-disciplined, liked, trained professional.
Yeah.
And if that is the case, then do you expect to see his flaw? Because we're talking about flaws now, meaning that, you know, what is he able to do consistently? Like, can he pass the ball? Can he carry a ball? Can he?
Well, his job is to break up. He's a box to
What
box.
is his best position? It's number 8, right?
Box.
You're always saying he's a box to box.
He's a box to box.
That's
your box to box. What a box to box player is, he's what Bentancur is meant to be. That's what he's meant to be. Because Bentancur, remember, he was meant to be box to box. And Colin Gallagher is going to work hard and get into positions. I mean, it was his first game.
Isn't that meant to be like a given though, working hard? But you're saying some of these players just don't.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. These players are doing the bare minimum, and that's it. And that's what
you're saying. It's a mentality issue. With
I've said it before.
I feel like George wants to comment on Conor Gallagher a bit more in terms of flaws and
look. We have too many players who want to be 8s, who either are 8 or they want to play in that position, right? If you ask Bergvall, are you a 10? He would say no. Are you a 6? He'd say no. So you're an 8. Great. Archie Gray talks about wanting to be an 8, even though I haven't seen the skill set to tell me he's an 8.
Can I stop you there? What is the skill set of 8? Let's break that down.
Okay, so of course, a lot depends on your formation, but let's say that we're playing the kind of 4-3-3 type formation that a lot of Spurs teams have played in recent seasons. Mm-hmm. I would be wanting my 4, first of all, just to give you the context around this 8. I'd want my 4, first of all, to hold their position. Yeah, they can't be a rogue guy. They've got to hold their position and give decent level of protection to that back line. It would be nice if they had a decent enough range of passing, but more importantly is that they've got legs and they can hold that position and they have high football IQ. The 8 is a really, really important position in this system because they're the guy. I mentioned Dembele. That was Dembele, right? Dembele played next to Wanyama. Dembele played next to Dele Alli. Played next to Eric Dyer sometimes in that holding midfield position. And those players knew better or knew best to give the ball to Dembele in tight space, and Dembele turns and we're in motion, right? It's all forward going from that point. So that 8's huge. They've got to.
Are you saying then Conor Gallagher in tight spaces, or when giving him the ball, he's not able to turn on the ball?
He's not that guy.
And then travel and get us up the pitch.
The only way he can get us up the pitch is in a Scott Parker way. Yeah. So Scott Parker was really good at getting the ball and just dashing. Like he'd go on these little mazy kind of dashes, not much vision,
when you say dash, is that with a ball or without?
With the ball, like a little kind of little dribble,
ball carry.
There's not a lot of finesse, but he gets up the field.
Is that with players on him or players without him? It's just
players. He'd do mini Van der Vens, right? He'd do it off like 15, 20 yard dashes and get us up the field, but it wasn't particularly. It was a particular style of play that doesn't lend itself to, like Oren was saying, the team coming along with them. It's quite individual, right?
Yeah.
The Dembele thing is quite metronomic, yeah? Because of the pace that he's moving at, his awareness of what's around him. his ability to draw the opposing players and fend them off, the strength and ability, creating mismatches in other positions, finding free players. Conor Gallagher is the complete opposite of this. He's not a guy who's going to have that football understanding when he picks the ball. He doesn't have that technique. He doesn't have.
So you're saying it's ability thing. You're saying it's an ability.
It's a skill set.
He's got the mental.
He's definitely got the
hard work. He's got the hard work.
Yeah,
the mentality.
Great
in
captain.
terms of ability, he's limited.
He's a captain guy. He's that Declan Rice type guy. He's got the captain attribute.
He'd be the Rice of what, Spurs?
Yeah, he's got those kind of archetypal attributes, right? He's a captain type. He's a leader type. He'll lead by example.
Okay, so I get what you're saying.
Specifically about a skill set that we've been for years.
He's not an 8, basically. But Oren, I feel like Oren wants to chime in.
He's not the style of 8 I want.
Let Oren chime in, because I feel like
it's all good saying about Dembele. Dembele was a rarity. He was a rarity. You're not going to get another player like that. If you look at the Premiership, there hasn't been a player like him in the Premiership since.
Okay,
even
Modric. I'm just talking about players who can do something like that. Of course, there's no exact replica.
Right. So basically, what I'm saying, George, is if you look entire Premiership, other than Rodri, who would you say is a deep lane playmaker or a proper number 8 these days?
Okay, let me give you an example of somebody who every single Spurs fan would turn their nose up at, because that's who we are. We like them shiny, right? Would turn their nose up at. You guys right now might laugh it off, but just in terms of a skill set, a specific skill set, would do it better than any of our players. Fulham, Alex Iwobi, a guy who can get the ball on the half turn, see a part. I've been watching all the Nigerian matches at the AFCON. That's his skill set. It doesn't make him a great player. It just means he's a particular player.
Does he do this in the Premiership, or was it just in AFCON?
I've seen Fulham 2-3 times outplay Spurs in the last year or so, and Iwobi's had good games. But Fulham generally, Fulham generally have been a decent, serviceable team under that manager. Just because they're not a top 6, they don't have top 6 resources, right? He's doing the best he can do in that situation, both the manager and the player. I'm not saying we should sign Alex Iwobi. I'm just giving you, off the top of my head, a Premier League midfielder that's closer to that skill set I'm describing than Conor Gallagher. I would probably have been cheaper than Conor Gallagher. So beyond his Arsenal affiliation and whatever else people might think, he's just an example. And I'm sure if I look, Alex Scott of Bournemouth, who's a Spurs fan. So, if people aren't happy with Alex Iwobi as an Arsenal guy, maybe they're happy with Alex Scott as a Spurs guy. Alex Scott, with his back to goal, is comfortable in possession. He sees a pass. He's strong in the tackle. He would be a better fit. I'm not calling him a better player. You're calling him a better fit.
Facilitator. Is that the correct word?
I think
someone that can move from defense to attack.
I think it's just somebody. There was a test, right? They did years back. I'm trying to remember exactly which university did it, whether it was one of the Oxbridge ones here or whether it was Harvard. But they did a test of what is the single hardest position to play or action to make in sports. Which one requires the highest IQ? And they did this mad test. And apparently the toughest thing you can do in sport is hit a major league pitch. The average person could swing 1,000 times and never hit it once. But the position that was the hardest one to play in terms of having the mental capacity to play it was that position, was the 6. Or was the 8, sorry. The position that connects the 6 to the 10, That position required so much going on at once.
You're saying Conor Gallagher hasn't got the IQ.
I'm saying he has
for that position.
There are a lot of attributes he has that I think are really welcome in different formations, or in different clubs or in different positions. But for what we as a club have been crying out for since those players that we just mentioned, the Carricks, the Dembeles, the Modric's, he's just not the fit. Now, that's not to say he can't work in another position, in another formation. But me with my 4-3-3 head on, don't see how that solves the problem.
So where do you see his best position? Because we've brought him in now as a permanent sign. I think he's the last permanent signing we've had since maybe Højbjerg. A lot of people calling him the Højbjerg replacement.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I actually see a lot of similarities between him and Højbjerg. I think that's a really a good comparison to the player type we've just bought. If we just bought Pierre-Emile Højbjerg back, people would be pretty disgusted with that. But they are really similar. There's not a lot of attributes the one has that the other one doesn't. Look, you ask me what's his best position. For me, I wouldn't want him playing in a 6. I definitely wouldn't want him playing in this 8 for the reasons I've described. The best season he ever had, in my view, was when he was on loan at Crystal Palace and more or less played as a 10, as a Delhi style 10, a 10 that doesn't create.
Like a midfielder.
Yeah, a Lampard type, the one who shoots,
arriving late.
The shooter, yeah? And that's one thing he can do. I give him a lot of credit for that. He can kick a football, and Spurs have had so many midfielders recently who can't kick a football, they can't shoot, you know?
Deji, big up, man. Thanks for forwarding.
Big up, my brothers, and sorry for my late arrival.
That's cool. I know you're busy, man. So we're just talking about Conor Gallagher before we get back onto the managerial, position and the board as well. I'm sure we'll talk about that. And then Dortmund, there's a lot of things to talk about. Romero, possibly Tell, missing out. Of course, he's another player we haven't spoke about yet. But yeah, let's stay on this Conor Gallagher's debut. What did you make of it?
Well, I think Conor Gallagher did what we expected from Conor Gallagher. He showed a lot of energy. Do you know what I mean? He ran around a lot, but I mean, he for the first goal for West Ham bump into Pedro Porro. Do you know what I mean? So look, I was never enthusiastic about the Conor Gallagher signing. So obviously, I'm going to be looking at it with some biased eyes. I don't actually think Conor Gallagher. I agree with my brother here. He's no different to Pierre. He's not different to Højbjerg. But also, when you're looking at football, I talk about structure and balance. Yeah. So Conor Gallagher in a different team with different players he's not actually bad. He could do a job. What I couldn't understand is what impact he was going to have with one of the dustiest Spurs midfields I've ever seen in my life. Because I don't trust Archie Gray. I don't trust Bergvall. I don't trust Bissouma. I don't trust Palhinha. I don't trust
about that. He came on.
Yeah, best player on the pitch.
Yeah, he was. But I think for me, Bissouma.
That's the mentality. He's got a poor mentality.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with my brother-in-law about Bissouma. Bissouma shines when you release the shackles. Yeah. So when he plays as an 8 and at Brighton, he was allowed to do what just be Bissouma. But when you want to play structured football, that's where there's a problem. That's what Conte was moaning about. Conte wanted him to just go from side to side, and Bissouma isn't that guy. So when you put discipline and structure, no. But if Thomas Frank is going to allow Bissouma to just be a madman and just do what he wants in that number 8 position, then I think potentially that could work. But again, can Conor Gallagher and Bissouma on the same pitch, can it work? I don't know, because who's going to play the defensive piece? Bissouma's not that guy. And neither is Conor Gallagher. And I don't trust Palhinha.
Isn't it a case of winning the ball higher up the pitch? I think that's where Archie Gray, as much as he's a player that on the ball, he's quite technical in terms of carrying it, passing. He's not bad, but it's not one of his strong skill sets. But off the ball is where you see a lot of his flaws, a lot of his weaknesses. Nothing to do with, lack of energy or lack of wanting, but he's just limited in terms of what he can do. So when Bissouma did come on, you had Conor Gallagher, someone that can win the ball high up because he likes to get stuck in, put his foot in. And then also Bissouma's a bit more physical than Archie Gray. So when Somerville got on the ball, straight away, he was able to clamp down on them and say, no, you're not running down that line. I'm picking that ball off. And I think in that second half, that's the reason why we looked a little bit more dominant, because we had 2 kind of pit bulls in the middle of the park. You're right. I think with Bissouma, he's not a natural 6, so he's not able to drop off and win the ball back. But Oren, I'll come back to you, because obviously, what was your thoughts on Bissouma? I just want to caveat that real quickly. I want to You talk about mentality and players with the right attitude
Bissouma is
and
the
hard
very
working.
definition of what's wrong with what Spurs have bought in. He comes on, plays okay for 45 minutes, and Spurs fans are like, he was the best player. I was like, well, you haven't got a lot to pick from. All he did was run a little bit forward. It just shows how the team is. But Frank goes, Bissouma's let down Angie. He was great for the first 10 games. Everyone thought this is the Bissouma everyone bought. He was, what was it called? Mr. Beat the Press. Couldn't stop him. Got sent off. His form just went.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. Last season, up and down. He only played well when Angie went, I need you. Then I think he just mentally checked out. Come back. The only reason he's playing is because Archie Gray was out injured. I think he got injured and got substituted. That's the only reason he played. But the fact of the matter is, Frank fans will go, oh, he should start the next game. And he'll play piss poor. Inconsistency. And that's what I'm trying to, that's the fundamental.
So would you not play him? Would you not start him again this season?
He's seen as a liability because you don't know what you're going to get from him, discipline or undisciplined. And I would understand if Bissouma, if he went undisciplined, would score top benders, but he's not exactly great at goal scoring.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like if you're trying to build a structure and if you're trying to make something solid, at what point will Bissouma just switch off? Because even for the block shot, it was Bissouma who misjudged the ball. And I think he started losing the ball a little bit. And even when he played with Angie, the second season, he was losing the ball all the time.
Mm.
But Angie was sticking up for him and going, no, I told him to do that. I told him to take risks. And Bissouma went, oh, great, I'm off the hook. So what I'm saying is what Conor Gallagher offers is that discipline and he knows where to be. And again, I saw effort because he did something that we haven't seen, say, really, apart from Polinia, other number is he got forward. He was trying to make crosses. He was trying to do a job that the wingers were meant to be doing or the attacking players were meant to be doing. And it's a sense of, the one thing we can go and look back on, because we were mentioning Dembele. Yes, Dembele was good, but he had Dele Alli to pass to, Ericsson to pass to, Kane to pass to. So when he turned, he had options. These players were running left, right. Which one do I pick? Anyone. Doesn't matter if we got a Dembele clone back in and played him at number 8. When he turns, he has no attackers to pass to. There was a moment when Archie Gray made a really good run, and he's looking. Not one player's raised his hand. They're all, I looked at the Spurs attackers, and they're all running in the same direction. You don't see them running from this angle or that to take away defenders, all in the same angle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
isn't that not down to coaching then?
We can all say that, but I don't know if you guys follow the Tottenham Hotspur YouTube channel or their TikTok. I'm sure they are. They show practicing attacking over and over. They show it. They show players passing, movement, making runs, talking to each other, crossing. Like I said, once they got across that line, that just goes out the window.
There's a difference though between having a little session in your closed door, your open door training, and a manager who is absolutely on top of the detail when it comes to how to build patterns from the back to the front. Whatever the reason why Chelsea were probably a bit torn when it came to getting rid of Marashka is even though he comes across as really off in interviews, and I can just imagine him rubbing everyone up the wrong way, from his bosses to the people he manages. He comes from that Pep school of being able to finally calibrate a team from back to front. Yeah, it's a plan. It's not just the principle. These are the principles. It's this is literally what we do. It's this triangle, and then you shift there and you shift there. And Frank is just a million miles away from that.
But that's what I'm trying to tell you, George. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're a coach and you're trying to teach these players. And even Mickey Van de Ven said, before every match, we'll go through a walkthrough, bit by bit of what we'll do. But once those players get on that pitch and the pressure starts, it goes out the window. But it's like this, George. You can train a boxer for 6 months and he gets everything right. As soon as he gets punched in the face, it goes out the window. That's what I'm saying. We can blame the manager all we want, but Conte, Jose, even Poch towards the end of his career, it was where these players just weren't doing what they were coached. And it's always the manager gets sacked.
But it's
always the manager.
But it's different levels of underachievement there. You said Conte. Conte left us in 4th place. We may not have enjoyed the football, but that's a completely different planet from what we're talking about
I'm not.
now.
You're missing the point. I'm just using Conte. What I'm saying is Conte had a big rant about how the players can't deal with pressure.
Sure.
Right. So that's what I'm telling you. And then even Angie, he had to stick up for the players because this has been a systematic thing over a long time where as soon as players face pressure, they can't do the right things right. We've talked about this. We talked about the Afghan. Can't take a penalty right, can't do this. I'm saying that what Spurs have bought is players, the recruitment. They've bought players who, when it comes to pressure, they cannot carry out things. When it's all good, they're world beaters. They're talking to each other. They're pointing. They're going, you go over there, mate. But you see, when they're having to come together and fight, it all goes out the window.
So just on that, real quick, and then you can come back in, George and Deji. Bro, it's not that type of show. You got to put your hand up. Anyone could just say what they need to say, get off your chest. These same players, well, not all of them, but a lot of these players, and we had a lot of players missing in that cup final. They came up and they got it done. So, is it a mentality issue that these players have, or go on, Deji, go on.
No, sorry to cut you.
Yeah, go on.
I think it's a. For me, I'm going to say what you've already said. I'm going to say it's a profile issue. Like, when I'm looking at our players, the biggest thing that I noticed that other players or other team players have is they've just got players that are just gorillas. Like, they're just hungry. So, for example, I remember when we went away to Crystal Palace last season. Crystal Palace hadn't won a game in 8. But I looked at that lineup of Eze, Lacroix, Mateta, you know what I mean? Tyrick Mitchell, Adam Wharton, and something in my heart said we're probably going to lose this game because I looked at their profile of their player, and I looked at our players of Bergvall, who are just soft. Do you know what I mean? Like, they just look soft.
Then that's what he's inherited. Then that's what Frank's inherited. That's not really Frank's fault. Then really.
Yeah, but I think where Frank, for me, my issue with Frank. So look, there's an issue of the profile because I'm looking at
that's not Langer. That's Langer. That's not
like Brentford striker Thiago.
Yeah,
he's hungry, innit? He's a gorilla. He's gonna make something out of nothing. If you look at Sunderland striker Robbery, when you've got a team like Spurs under Frank, you need a striker like them. What Robbery or Thiago, just Hulks that are just gonna get in. Then we need a defenders like Murillo. Do you know what I mean? From Nottingham Forest. Like, we need some strong hench guys with a bit of pace. Then on the wing, I would quite happily take a Robertson and then an Ndai. And then all of a sudden, our team starts to look different. The midfield three, I would gutter the midfield three out and start all over again. But that is down to the profile, and that comes from the club. The club have brought in the Bergvalls, the Archie Grays, the Xavi Simmons, soft guys. I think if you put them in the Crystal Palace, you put them in the Brentford, I think Xavi Simmons thrives at Brentford because he's got muscle men around him. But we ain't got no muscle. So he's just getting lads and everyone's getting lads. You get what I'm saying? And I think for me, but in terms of what Frank inherited, just quickly, the issue with Frank is, again, it's about balance. Football managers, when you have teams play, find the right balance. I've heard people say Jed Spence and Brennan Johnson at Nottingham Forest, they were killing, man. Do you get me? They were just doing a thing. I wanted to see at one stage, could he foster some sort of relationship between Jed Spence and Brennan Johnson? Let's just try. I mean, it can't get any worse than what we're going through.
Well, he sold him.
Richarlison, I'm saying Richarlison ain't a 9. Richarlison's best years for me, Watford, he was a left striker. He was a left striker at Everton. The brother
Watford
is
as well.
playing him as a 9, and then he's playing Mawani out on the right or left. That don't make no sense.
Exactly. This
That don't make no sense.
But that's the thing, though, because yeah, I understand it's stupid, but at the same time, he has no other options because Richarlison has worked in the middle longer at Spurs. He's never really played on the left at Spurs because when he came in for Kane, I think he was there for one season, whatever, but he's in the centre. So Callum Mwani's on the left. But if you look at Callum Mwani, he doesn't look good in the centre either.
Yeah.
You know, so
my brothers, can we talk about Tell then? What's the situation with Tell? Because he's another forward, and he's been recently.
It's three centre forwards.
Recently been pushed out of the squad, the Champions League squad to be precise.
For Dominic Solanke.
But who's not fully fit. I don't know if you guys saw him.
Yeah, but it's
when
not.
he came on.
It's for the future.
The decision isn't for one match. You've got to make that decision now for this.
So do you guys agree with that? Do you guys agree with dropping Tell?
I agree with. I disagree with leaving Tell out in the first place, but for this very specific decision he had to make of the only way to get Solanke into the squad was to get Tell out of the squad. And even if Solanke's not quite right for Dortmund, he should be right for Eintracht Frankfurt. He made the decision I would have made. You've got to have the only fit for purpose number 9.
All right, cool.
Fit.
What formation do you go then? Because at the moment we do lack wingers. And obviously against West Ham, he decided to go 2 up front, and he took Tell off, and he took Odegaard off. What was the thinking behind that, guys? Can we break that down?
He's a madman. The only thing I would say is I haven't liked Tell this season. However, I actually went to the game against Sunderland, and I thought he had a really good game. That's the best game I've seen him play in terms of moving. You don't need to score goals to have a good game. And I thought Odegaard in the 10 actually had a good game. So for me, I think it's harsh on Tell because he looked like he's been doing okay. And I mean, our standards are low this season, but he's done enough for me to say he warranted a place on the plane. Do you know what I mean? I think he should have gone. I would have left that Xavi Simons, to be honest. I think he's
Talk about him earlier, man. But have you got things to say about it?
Yeah, man, bro. I just think Xavi Simons reminds me of when Luka Modric when he first came to Spurs. He was just weak. Just give him 6 months in the gym. I think Xavi Simons, if he goes gym from now, he will be all right.
He has been training in the gym. He's posted up.
He's already showing.
You need 6 months in the gym.
I disagree because if you look at Wirtz, he's not bulked up anymore. He's not got any upper body physical strength. He's learned how to use his body, and he's adapted to the pace of the league. In my opinion, I think that's what Xavi needs to do. Look at what my man's doing from Liverpool. Look at what he's doing. Like, look how he's playing, and think, okay, he's smaller than I am. Or he's a similar height to I am, so he's got a similar frame. Maybe I can learn a little bit off of how he's handling the pace of the league, how his intent is, where his surroundings are. Maybe is he scanning a bit more? Is he on the angle? Is he receiving? Is he 2 steps ahead of the player? Like those type of things for me, rather than just getting stronger. Because sometimes if you bulk up too much, you can get off balance. You know what I'm saying? And you lose a bit of agility and balance, and that's what separates them type of attacking.
Can I just give my last word? I'll get back to Tell in a minute and sort of attacking stuff, but just sort of responding to Oren about the sorry man, I didn't catch your name. About the kind of profile of players, you know. If you did a poll in the Premier League about most aggressive players in the league now, and you ask Premier League players just to vote for the most aggressive, the guys you just hate coming up against because you're going to get hurt. Yeah? You're going to get hurt. I guarantee you in the top 10 would be Palhinha. I guarantee you in the top 10 will be Romero. I think in a different way, not in a rough sort of, although, you know, Isaac may have a different opinion, not in a sort of rough, nasty way, Van der Ven, for somebody who just doesn't ever see a tackle he doesn't like. Like he never ever pulls
again. Yeah, I know where you're going with this.
So let me finish. My point is, we've got enough, in my opinion, guys who are just on default, quite aggressive, tough, tall, big, quite strong. We actually have quite a big, strong team. We don't have a very balanced team, though. 11 guys like that is a road to nowhere. 11 guys like small, tippy-tappy guys like that team I described for you when we had Modric and Dos Santos and Fraser Campbell, that's a road to nowhere. It's the balance. Our balance of our team is just not quite right. And the midfield for sure is not right. And Conor Gallagher does not solve that problem. And the front three is just not quite right. There's just, you look at the team and it doesn't look functional. Individually, these players will all go on to do interesting things in their career, whether with Spurs or somewhere else. Odegaard, who I read a lot of criticism about him being a bit lightweight and not necessarily having this or that. If you put him in a team that had a structure and a function, and his job in that team was to be a floaty creative type while everything else is in place in that team. So, for example, let's imagine he was in the Man City team last year doing what Savinho was doing, right? Savinho is better than Odegaard. I'm not saying he's not, but archetypally, Odegaard could do that role and not look bad and get some numbers, and he would be just fine within the structure of that team. Spurs' problem is we haven't done a good job in building team structure over the last few years. The team is dysfunctional. It's just dysfunction. It's not about individuals. All of these guys have attributes to a greater or lesser extent. The mix of them is all wrong. We've just bought another player with really good attributes, Conor Gallagher, but he's not right for this team. It's the wrong fit. We don't know how to build a team.
It's because we're reactionary and we don't succession plan. So it all started with Kane. The successor for Kane should have been in the season before he left. Solanke should have come in the season before Kane left to learn and then to slowly grow, to get some advice, start cooking. We wait until they've gone, or we waited until they're completely given their all. Like Son, man had no more energy, couldn't perform anymore, and then we're scratching and we're looking around. But I think the thing that really, really bugs me about Spurs is that someone was saying to me earlier on the show, we've spent £1 billion since Poch on players, if not over $1 billion, and I can't tell you who. We've got a couple like Van de Ven and maybe a Romero, but most of it has been a waste of blood. I mean, we spent 60 mil on Brennan Johnson. Let that sink into our headpiece.
So with that being said, because it sounds like the board want to give Thomas more time.
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys in agreement?
Yeah.
No.
Who do you bring in? Who do we bring in? That's going to fix the front line. It's going to be the same issues.
What I don't understand is I think the issue, the first question is, before we bring in a new manager, I think for me the issue has been with Spurs is, are we ready to back it? Because for me, if there's no point, I hear you.
But you just said that they've spent $1 billion on players.
I know, but what I mean is
not backing the manager.
But they brought in Conte and Mourinho, and they weren't ready to spend the money that these guys wanted to spend. Do you get what I'm saying?
But again, we did spend money under those managers, man. If you break it down, they spent a decent amount of that $1 billion. I'm telling you now.
The issue, I think, when it comes to transfers and players, it's like we forget that, first of all, does the player actually want to come to Spurs? Yeah. We think it's easy just to say, right, we want you, here's money. Yes, again, like if you look at Xavi, he was the third choice. Eze didn't want to come to Spurs. He wanted to go to his boyhood club. And now he's sitting on the bench for his boyhood club. Morgan Gibbs-White wanted to come to Spurs. The chairman stepped in and went, nah, you ain't going nowhere. Fucking held him at gunpoint.
Isn't it the way we conduct business then? Isn't it the way we carry business?
That's the
We're
thing.
not ruthless enough to get those
targets done. You can only be ruthless.
Because I think Eze took about 3 weeks when that could have been done.
Yes, but at the same time, I personally believe that Eze was dragging it out.
You think Eze was dragging out the deal?
Yes.
So he wasn't picking up
it out. Yeah,
you don't think that the style, because the reason why I say that,
I get you.
I've seen a pattern of a style of negotiation where the chairman will call, inquire about someone, walk away, and then try to sweat out the asset, meaning that he tries to kind of
that's the thing.
Use that negotiation style to think,
I would understand that, but Spurs had, like, look how quickly they bought in Mickey van de Ven and all the players who wanted to come to Spurs.
Yes.
It was straight away.
There has
Eze
been
didn't want to
time.
come to
There has
Spurs.
been time. There has been
And
time.
there was, like, Morgan Gibbs White, the deal was agreed. He was on his way to get a medical. So if it hypothetically gone through, from that morning to that night, Morgan Gibbs White would have been the player. So they wanted to get the deal done straight up. It was a chairman who came in and said no. So again, I think, like, what I've always understood about Sporting Spurs is that maybe the top players that the fans want, we never stop to ask, do they want to come to Spurs? That's the first question. If you don't want to come to Spurs, there's nothing you can do. And it's like, Ndombele didn't want to come to Spurs. He was told by his agent to come to Spurs because he was going to be, you go to Spurs, you have a good season, and you go to Barcelona or Real Madrid. He came with the mentality, it's like, I'm bigger than the club.
Well, I mean, yeah, no, it's fair points you make, but coming back to the point overall, we were saying like a balanced situation where a lot of the times we're not identifying the right players to balance out the squad. Another situation as well, like you said earlier, George, when it comes to not the transfer fee, but in terms of wages, then that affects the quality of player that you get in, and that has been an issue.
Vinay said he's gonna lift it up, didn't he, Vinay?
Yeah, Vinay said he's gonna lift it up. But,
yeah, we didn't see.
Yeah, but go on, sorry, George.
My issue, much bigger than whether Frank should get more time or not. Who's making the football decisions in the club right now, and the ins and outs? Who's the football brains behind the scene? Who is that? Is that really Langer? Because if it is, who's making those decisions? Because when you talk about salary and all of this stuff, that almost implies like we have some fixed targets who us as a fan base would like, but the club can't front up the money. That's another level on from what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, do these guys have the brains to even identify what the team needs archetypally? So I can write down my first choice number 8 all the way to my 10th choice number 8. I don't trust Spurs to even identify that that's the type of player that we need. I expect them to get our third choice number whatever that we don't need. This is my bigger issue. It's not about whether we'll pay enough to entice like the best players from Bayern Munich or Paris Saint-Germain. Do we have what Brighton and Bournemouth and those teams have had over the last 5-6 years of recognizing what their team needs, being able to buy them at an affordable price point, and that person is worth 100 million in a couple of years' time? Because I just need us to be that. If we can be that, I'm happy.
What happened is Spurs have caught themselves in no man's land. So we're not ready to take a punt unless we are doing it with this Sousa kid. But prior to that, we were almost going for kind of ready-made, but try not to get too expensive. Well, we weren't taking a punt on up-and-coming talents or ready-made talents in Europe. There's some of that going on. And then our ability to, I think the biggest problem with Spurs is it's difficult. So Frank, look, Brentford was 5th or 6th in the Prem. He built that team from scratch. What the issue Frank has is he's not able to build his team on players that aren't his. Hence why I said that I don't know how long. For Frank to work, you've got to get rid of the whole squad and get him to piece together a new squad. That's how it's going to work. But if you want him every transfer window to be chipping away at the team, it's not going to work.
So you sound like Deji. It sounds like I know what you're going to say, George. You don't, or by your actions, you don't think that's realistic. But it sounds to me, Deji, that you think that Frank hasn't been backed. Am I getting that right? That feeling, because you're saying that Brentford, he built it. That was his from scratch. It was his team. He got the players in.
Yeah, you could say that, but I guess, look, you don't know what you don't know. I think Frank thought he could do something with these players, genuinely, and I think that the board did. And then he's got it and he's realised the job is a lot bigger than he thought it was going to be. What I'm saying is Frank doesn't look like a manager that can stabilise a ship and then slowly build. Does that make sense? That's what Pochettino did. He stabilized and then he built, even though he was.
But saying that, we are only 9 points away from the top 4, and we're only 7 points away from Europe. I'm just
here's
saying.
here's the thing. It's like actually, like I have to shoot on here, so I'll end this little thing. I was at the start of the season, and I'll always hold you this, big man. You said something very, very important. Will he get time? That's what you said, right? Because if you look at Frank's profile, in a way, he is perfect for the Spurs team. They're young, they're inexperienced, and at Brentford, he would get players who weren't flashy, who weren't great, but he was able to meet them better through hard work and dedication. That's what Frank is. He's a technician. But the biggest worry, I think, likes of Ash and some other Spurs fans who sat back and look at it, is like, will the Spurs fan give him time? At Brentford could go, if this was happening at Brentford right now, no one would care. It's Brentford, 13th, that's okay. They're going to kick on. But it's Spurs. So fans are having a meltdown. They're going nuts.
This is a good point, though, that you brought up. It is the style of play as well. I think that is kind of reminiscent to like a Mourinho and Conte. I think that's where he's getting more and more scrutiny.
Yes, it's the style. Yeah, you could say the style of play. But like I said before, he's relying on 3, and I'm bringing it back to it. He's relying on 3 attackers who just don't attack, who don't have the desire, who don't have the movement, he doesn't have all that. So to give him like that's the issue. But like I said before, that I think that what Frank has inherited at Spurs, he's looking at these players and going, right, I don't think some of these players want to work to their best ability. They want to work hard.
Well, how bad does it have to get? Because we've only won what? Is it 3 games in the last 12 or something like that?
I'll let Big Time Showman answer this. Guys, nice meeting you. Thanks for coming on. Alex, showtime. Let it rip, big man. Let it rip. Wake everyone up. Right. I'll see you later.
Love.
Right.
Go on. Take it away.
What, me? Do I have that effect? People disappear when I turn up.
Yeah.
Is that the case?
Do that.
Just do that. Just turn up. Is that how we're doing it now these days?
Wow. You got the power. You got the power. Go on.
Power to do what? Oh my gosh! We're moving on. What was the question? Are we bashing Frank again? That every Spurs fan's doing at the moment.
The question is, do we keep why is Frank here? That's how I started. I said, why is Frank here? Why is he still here? And I just wanted to get people's thoughts. Should he be getting more time because the squad is being decimated? Similar to maybe what a previous manager had, where he had his defense, taken out, had a strong attack. Now we've got our defense, but we haven't got any attack. And do we leave it to an interim in Heitinga who's not really hit the heights when he was a manager? Do you know what I mean? In the Eredivisie. So, what's your thoughts, box office? What do you do? Do you give him? Do you agree with them for keeping him on to Dortmund?
I mean, for me at the moment, you can sack Frank. It won't make no difference because you've got those 2 Muppets who are in charge, and who are Johan Lang and Vinay. For me, they couldn't make a decision even if they tried. Let's be honest here. That's why he's still here. The fact that, and the thing is, like I say, I'm the oracle, because like I said, there was something going on when I saw Paratici leaving. I said there was something going on, because Paratici doesn't just say things for no reason, doesn't leave for no reason, right? And when I saw that he was leaving, I sat there and thought, okay, what's going on here? And then I hear news that he was not happy with Frank. He wants him gone. He wanted to give an interim. He had an interim, Igor Tudor. They said no. That said it all for me. That said it all straight away. Yes, if you believe the reports, but you can read between the lines, because I've been a Spurs fan for a very long time. I've done this YouTube game for 5 years, 6 years. Some people have only done it for two minutes. Yeah, so I know how Spurs work in the back of my head now. All right. And I know how Paratici works because I've done research on this guy, because people say that I love him. No, I don't. If you watch Mr. Box Office TV, I've told you I didn't like him. I didn't see he was cooking anytime soon. Yeah, but I know that this guy's a leader, like Daniel Levy, and the 2 that's in charge at the moment of just number 2s.
I hear that, but answer the question though. what do you do from now? Like, do you
Well, at the moment, for me personally, I'll get rid of him. But the thing is, though, we're messed up because who's hiring the next manager?
Yeah, but I'm saying, what would you do? I'm saying, forget them, man. I'm saying, right, box office, you're in charge right now. What are you saying? What are you telling me?
At the moment, I think we've got no choice but to keep him to the end of the season.
Okay.
Because at the moment, I'm looking at scenarios here. I'm gonna put it all out there because I've been sending on WhatsApp groups and I'm gonna say it on my channel, right? I think at the moment, because they're so messed up, Ange's coming back. Ange Postecoglou will come back. I'll put it out there right now. Right? Because he's available. Half the fan base will be loving it, twerking for him. Right? The players will love it. Right? He's free. Right? Okay, and Ange's going to love it coming back, and he's got one game a week because let's forget the Champions League. Even if we get through, you know what I mean? It's like he's got one game a week. So he's like the oracle coming, the saviour coming back to Tottenham Hotspur. So for me, you can see it happening because they've got no clue what they wanted to do. They've got all their eggs are in the Frank basket. You can see straight away that it's all in the Frank basket. Yeah, all this rubbish about Huntelaar or De Zerbi and all these people. No, they're not looking at him. Come on.
All right. So you're saying keep Frank, but how many games do you need to lose before? Sorry, George, you want to come in there, George? Deji, you man.
Okay.
Let me know.
I give you my perspective. For me, having like preached patience with this manager for a while, I was fairly clear in my head that he needed to go before the West Ham match because it's become bigger now than whether I think it's fair that he's given longer. It's become much bigger than that. When it gets to the point where the fan base bring the sort of energy to home matches and increasingly now to away matches, and the away fans are normally really diehard and very, very fair, really behind the team. Yeah. When it gets to this stage, we are flirting with disaster. And I don't want to be like a doom monger and start talking relegation, but a club of our size, if we had consecutive seasons of 17th and say 14th, 13th, 12th even, right? The whole perception of who we are really starts to change. Anyone can write off one bad season. Chelsea had one terrible bottom half season not too long ago, but no one thinks about it now because they didn't go back to back with that, right? Back to back's a big deal if you're trying to position yourselves as a serious football club, right? It's got to a point now where none of us even expect us to win home matches against West Ham, yet we believe that this manager may not have been dealt the best hand. Well, something's got to give, right? We can't go into home matches against a team that could well get relegated, not expect to win, but not be in a place where we want to change things, right? We have no choice, even though I think in many ways he's been hard done by. He's been hard done by in a lot of ways. One, and that's no one's fault, is the injury thing. You know, when people ask me about, you know, what would I do about Spurs, I think you're looking for 3D solutions. You're looking for practical solutions that exist in the physical world. Spurs' solutions don't exist in the 3D. We need to do a whole damn ritual, 5D, yeah? We need to get into the worlds of casting spells. This club is cursed, yeah? From top to bottom. Do some, don't know if you guys follow NBA, do some Kyrie Irving stuff, man. Get some sage. Just fumigate this damn club, yeah? Bad things can happen, but do bad things always have to happen? How did we know Semenyo was definitely going to score in the last minute? How did we know West Ham were definitely going to score in the last minute? How did we know that the second we sold Brennan Johnson, Kudus would fall down with an injury? Every single thing that can go wrong for this club always goes wrong for this club. We need to do some kind of ritual. And if the club won't do it, we should do it. We should all get here and do some proper juju, like just kill. Honestly, we need to kill this stuff dead, this Spursy stuff, once and for all.
Maybe because we haven't got an identity, mate. That's why.
No, but this has existed way before our identity crisis, man. I've been a Spurs fan since the 80s. The first year I properly followed Spurs, no one really talks about it properly. We could have won a treble in 1987, right? In 87, going into the last couple of months of the season, we were the League Cup semis against Arsenal. We end up in the cup final against Coventry, and we could have won the league. Everton won the league, Coventry won the cup, Arsenal beat us in the semi-finals. And that's where it started. It's just continued ever since then, of being the ultimate near-miss club. Don't start me about Lasagna. Don't start me about Mr. Marinakis. There's too many stories like this. And at some point...
sorry for yourself, though.
No, I'm not feeling sorry for myself. I'm owning it. I'm owning the darkness of this stuff. Once and for all, right? I'm happy to get on shows like this and talk tactics, talk transfers, talk managers. But there's a part of me that thinks there's something way bigger than all of that holds this club back. And let's do it. Let's, as a fan base, instead of wasting our energy on pointless protests, we should do some huge ritual where we kill Spursy off once and for all, because the club ain't gonna do it. It's just it's a cursed club, man. Look at the. I didn't even have enough time to get you got the idea. I didn't even have enough time to get my seat in the pub in the biggest day of my football following career before Musa Sissoko handball that thing. Like, it's just every single thing that can go wrong goes wrong.
So what happened last season when we won the cup then? Do we have luck then?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you exactly what happened. within a few days of that, we sack our manager. Within a few days of that,
because we were 17th.
This is my point. So even when we have a good thing, it's not such a good thing. Look at where we are now, so soon after a good thing. In my time, and presumably yours as a Spurs fan, should we go back through our last 3-4 trophy wins and what happened to the managers immediately after them? Ange fired. Ramos within a couple of months fired. George Graham within a couple of months fired. Terry Venables within a couple of months out of the club because of some fraudish. We've never had a manager win a trophy and still had the same manager in charge.
Well, George, on that note, and I'll go to you, Deji. Do you bring back one of the most feel-good managers? I wouldn't say successful. Feel-good managers in Poch. Let's go.
So, look, me personally, I love Poch, and I felt like he was hard done by. Remember, Poch warned us. Poch said a couple of things that I kind of follow and live by. The first thing he said was the rebuild was going to be painful. He was never allowed to see that rebuild. He managed to get us to a Champions League final without buying a single player for 3 transfer windows. It was under Poch that we were given the Big 6 status, and we played some of the best football I've seen as a Spurs fan. Me personally, I would love Poch back. However, there is something that is holding me back slightly. Has Poch's time passed? I believe there's seasons in football. I've been telling LB, the Man City's fan, that Pep is done at City. Pep's not done, but he's done at City. So when you see City fumbling the bag, I'm not surprised. I've been calling this out from the beginning of the season. He's done. He's finished at City. Mourinho, we got a washed Mourinho. We didn't get Mourinho. We got a washed version. And Conte, he lost his mind from when he lost his bedroom. He just wasn't in the zone. And that can happen to anyone. It was unfortunate. So for me, I'm not sure Poch is the guy now. I think it's too late. We should have backed him when we had a chance to back him. And it doesn't make sense now. I feel like the game has moved on. What we need to bring in is someone who is wishful thinking. This is just me wishful thinking. Obviously, Luis Enrique, that kind of, maybe Xavi Hernandez, maybe Xabi Alonso. What he did at Leverkusen, he could very well do at Spurs. It needs young, fresh managers with a new idea of football, not the 4-2-3-1 system that Poch is going to bring back and think it's going to do something.
I agree.
I think you lot are dreaming, man. I love
Poch. I think was a legend, but I don't dreaming, man. Dreaming about what? Dreaming about what, though?
I don't even think you lot are actually thinking.
No, but what are we dreaming about?
Because the thing is, though, what I'm saying is, if you actually listen to me, right? Listen to me earlier. You're not thinking about who's we actually hiring these people. Like,
we know this, bro.
Yeah, we know this. Yeah, you can say what you know this, but at the end of the day, why would a manager want to work with those two people? Can someone tell me? You get what I'm saying?
Look, I agree with you. Those two brothers are wastemen.
The first thing you need to do, for me personally, which is the most logical thing, is get football people in the club that are actually directors of football that actually know what to do in terms of
I agree with that. I said
then,
that already.
Then you start deciding who's the most important thing to have. Is either having coaches that are the most important things to have, or the manager, like who's the ultimate, or the director of football. That's what you need to make a decision on and how you want to play.
Yeah, I agree.
Because at the end of the day, right, you can have all these managers. That's cool, but you can bring in any manager. If it's going wrong, this fan base is going to turn, and then look what happens after that. You know what I mean? And then we have another thing, another area of this. But you can get anybody in, right? And until that's sorted, I ain't backing no manager anymore.
No,
Not even Poch.
I agree. I think you missed that bit. I said the same before. Like, the more important thing than deciding whether Frank's the guy or not, who are the football people at this club making those strategic decisions, right? Of signings, of what kind of coach we need, of who would be a good coaching team for that coach. I don't trust those people, right? But on that specific question about Poch, I completely agree. His window, like his team's window back then, was open and then it closed. The window is closed. Yeah. I've been a football fan for as long as probably you guys, maybe longer than some of you. I'm a lot older than I look, right? I can't think of any manager other than maybe Capello at Real Madrid, and he was fired, yeah, who went back and was good second time around. I've seen it with Kenny Dalglish. I've seen it with many different managers over the years who were successful first time, come back to their club some years later on, and it never, ever works out. For much the same reasons as going back to old relationships doesn't work out, right? It had its window. We didn't make the most of that window, but we did some big things. I'm proud of a lot of our achievements, even if we don't have trophies from that period. It's quite immature of us as a fan base to keep hankering after those days instead of trying to create a new pathway. Yeah, I think Pochettino had years since Spurs where he could have proved to us that he's now a better manager than he was when he was at Spurs. He has not proven that. He managed Paris Saint-Germain for a few years and did the bare minimum there. He won a league title. He actually did not win a league title in another year, which is almost impossible to do in France. Yeah, he's managed the USA national team, and they're not crazy.
Wait, you skipped over Chelsea. What happened there?
Okay, let's go back to Chelsea. He's gone to Chelsea. He won nothing. He managed the USA national team. They've been struggling. They didn't even win.
How long did he get at Chelsea?
Half, like 3/4 of a season or half a season. I'm not saying he should have won anything, but he didn't win anything. It's just there's nothing.
Is that what you're basing the premises on the manager, the next manager? He should have a pedigree.
No, I'm speaking specifically about Poch, as in, why would you bring him back unless you felt you were getting a better version of what we had before, at least the same version, as good? Yeah. What has he shown us since he's left Spurs?
Did he improve Chelsea? Like, they were saying that Chelsea were like on the bottom half, not bottom half, but they were mid-table, and he got them.
Where did they finish?
They're sixth, just one place behind us.
But Tim Sherwood did that. I mean, Tim Sherwood got Spurs.
It was only a point. Was it only a point behind us as well?
Probably, but Tim Sherwood got Spurs to sixth place in half a season's work off the back of inheriting a bit of a mess. But I'm not about to ask for Tim Sherwood to come back to us. But my point is this: Pochettino, I think, was an excellent manager at Spurs. He was one of the only managers we've ever had who got that culture right. He was an excellent manager. He connected with the fans. I still think he was very fortunate.
You believe that it is the manager that can change the culture?
Absolutely.
Not troubling people behind him.
Absolutely. Managers are the ones who set cultures. If you've ever been a manager before in any job, like in your life, yeah. If you've ever worked under good managers, bad managers, in the middle managers, and you've seen the effect these different managers can have on the same individuals, then you know that managers are the ones who set cultures. When Mourinho at his peak, as was being talked about before, went something like almost a decade of not losing a home match in Porto, Chelsea, Inter, and Real combined, what do you think that was? Do you think it was what? Like, this was a man who was at the peak of his powers and instilled different kinds of the same mentality on different groups of players across 4 different clubs, that when our home is our fortress, we do not lose home matches. He went almost a decade unbeaten at home as a manager. Peak period Mourinho, knew what he was doing psychologically. His tactics were in date at that point. He set the cultures. He set that thing of we are a serious football club. When we were talking about Thomas Frank early on and how unfortunate he's been to inherit this bunch of, 7 months is not 7 weeks. He's been here 7 months now. You can start putting some kind of imprint culturally on the squad in terms of how the squad behave, how serious the squad are about training, that Romero is not standing on the halfway line with a minute to go of a football match where we are in danger of losing to put everybody's job on the line. That same captain isn't writing letters that are essentially like throwing the board and stuff under the bus, and then the manager has to pick up the residue of that and has to do all the awkward talking at press conferences. Culture is set by the manager. Culture is always set by the manager. Even when the manager makes a conscious decision like Ange did to empower the players as leaders, to go, here's a leadership group, I want you guys to do this, this, and this together. That's still a management decision. Therefore, the manager is responsible for that. So for me, I think, Pochettino is a guy that I'm really, really fond of, but I honestly think to think about going back in time, it's the wrong mentality. We need to be trying to forge a new pathway here,
So just to go back on Thomas Frank, because he had lunch with these guys today. He had a little drink up. I think them men were happy. He was like saying, yo, what a wonderful morning it is, as he took the actual training session. Do we still get a transfer window with him, or do you think the transfer window is cancelled? What do you think is actually going on? Do you think that this, because he looks like he's staying, the way he's come out, once you're against the wall, I think he said they need to come out fighting. I think that was a quote that he come out and said. So do you not think he's going to stay beyond the Dortmund game, or do you think them guys are just buttering him up to stab him in the back?
I think he's gone, because football's not just about the manager, it's about the fans and it's about the money, isn't it? And
9,000 seats as well, by the way, for tomorrow.
What's that?
9,000 seats.
Yeah, so that already speaks for itself. Like, fans that are not, even me, I took my son to the Sunderland game, but the whole week I was thinking, is there any point going? And I've never ever felt like that, to say, is there any point going to watch a Spurs game? And I had to ask my son 10 times, you sure you want to go? So I think just on that, the fact that the fan base speaks and the Spurs board react, because they don't like looking bad and they don't want the fans turning on them. Do you get what I'm saying? Which is already happening. So I think if he doesn't win against Dortmund tomorrow, that's it. That's him done. And I think I've heard and I've read that they've given him the Dortmund game to try and win and get a reprieve. But
is there a chance he can win the game, guys? I know
the game
depleted. I know the first 11 is depleted. But is there a chance that we cause an upset?
He can win the game, and that's not because we're a particularly good team or they're a particularly terrible team. It's just a one-off match. We don't have much of a squad, but the starting 11 will be stronger than you think. Right? We just don't have any backup.
What is that strong? What is that starting 11?
So I think the starting 11 for that game he's obviously the same goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Right back, he could go either way. Yeah, for this one, he could go Spence or Porro for this one. Left back has to be Udogie now, or Spence if he wants to go Porro Spence.
From what I'm reading, I'm hearing like Udogie start.
He's got 3 fullbacks for 2 spots, right? So he's going to be first teamers. Centre backs going to be Danso and Romero with Van der Ven suspended.
Yep.
Midfield 3, they said Archie Gray trained today, so probably be Gray. Bergval trained, didn't he today? Gray, Bergval, and a 10. The 10. Xavi didn't train, but he's available, right? So those
Xavi did train apparently. According to Alistair Gold,
he did train. Okay, cool.
He said that he did train today. So and also Xavi did the press conference.
The press conference, I saw that.
Look at his body language. You don't know if you lot can see that.
Yeah, but he's always got that sort of body language. He's got that teenager like.
Yeah, he's not comfortable. Yeah.
No, but I'm saying, like, do you reckon like Frank's lost the players? Because I don't know if we lot heard a
Yeah,
lot
maybe.
of players are coming out saying they're not happy, and he needs to go. And apparently, Romero's leading the charge. And I was trying to get to.
I think Romero
Romero's a pointless captain. There's no point in having just the last three for that team. So it's going to be Solanke, Kolomwani, and Odobert. So that's the team, right? We've got no other fit players. It's literally those 11, and then your first off the bench will probably now be Luca Williams-Barnett. He's the furthest ahead of all the youth players, and it will be 7 youth players or 9.
Do you think anyone will get injured tomorrow? No,
this is Spurs, man. Of course they will. Like, they'll probably get injured in the first 20 minutes, right?
So, like, what players do you reckon is like risk of injury? Like, because I think maybe it's a possibility. Who?
Probably Solanke.
Solanke
and Udogie.
Solanke and Udogie are your risks, but you got Danso on the bench. No, Danso starting. So yeah, that's it. It's just that 11.
I don't rate our front line at all. I've got to be honest. I've got to be honest. I'm not a fan of Alderweireld. I don't feel sorry for Tell that he's not in the squad. I've heard some of the meltdown from some of the Tottenham fans. I'm like, people saying he's in top form. What does top form mean? Honestly, he's had a few moments. I'm not being funny. Like, and he's the top form of every other forward. Okay, that shows how bad our forward line is. That's it, isn't it? Really, let's be honest here. You know what I mean?
Sure. How old? Just out of interest, right? Just question to the group, right? How old's Mikey Moore? How old is he? He's like 18, isn't he?
18, yeah, something
18.
like that.
And Tell is 20. Yeah. I just find it, for me, it's just been a thing that's bugged me for the last kind of couple of years. The level of tolerance that we've got towards young British players and where they're at in their career, Archie Gray, Mikey Moore, compared to some of the younger European players, it's very different. People talk about Odobert and Tell like they're expected to be something close to the real deal already.
Yeah.
At 20 and 21.
Okay.
Mikey Moore, no one has that expectation of him. We're loaning him out to Rangers. He doesn't get in their team for a while. He eventually does. Starts to play a little bit better. If he comes back next year and starts sort of slow, we'll be like, he's a kid back on the bench.
You're starting me off now.
With Tell and with Odobert,
there we go.
We've got a mentality like we want them to be the real deal now.
Okay.
Yeah?
Here we go. I knew this is coming. Young players. Okay. Have the same energy.
Sure.
But Gil. What happened to Gil?
Gil's 25.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, Gil was young.
Yeah, but
we sold him. Okay. Let's have that same energy. Let's have same energy for Bergwijn. Lamela. Remember Lamela?
Lamela was good. Lamela had a good Spurs career.
We still sold him.
Yeah, but he had a good career before we sold him. He contributed towards good seasons.
So I don't want to hear the excuses. You know what I mean?
I don't understand.
What do you that we sold that are paid better than most of these players? It's revisionism.
No, but how old was Lamela when we sold him? Is the point? Lamela had a whole career.
Okay, but I'm sorry, but if you're in the squad, mate, you're good enough. I'm sorry, I'm not doing this.
What does that mean? Like,
no,
what do you mean if you're in the squad? I'm just saying. Look, I'm not saying that because of his age, he's allowed to not be good. I'm saying there's an inconsistency in how we talk about Archie Gray, Archie Gray has produced about 3 performances for Spurs that I think are up to scratch in his entire time.
I would sell him tomorrow.
Right. So now you're on my page. This wasn't saying that all these young players are great. I'm saying we talk about generally. Archie Gray was winning prizes last year, like best young London player.
Mate, you're on the same wave.
I'm with you, George. I feel like Tottenham is a little bit like a joke. I mean, I have someone who helps me get tickets for the 1882, and you go to the 1882 and they give you a match program and they give you some free food and free drink, but the free food is nasty, or they run out of food. How do you run out of food in the bit where they're supposed to be providing food? And I feel like with Tottenham, our standards are low. I've never rated Archie Gray, Bergwijn, Mikey Moore. When you've got the likes of Lewis Kelly and you've got Ethan Nwaneri. Do you know what I'm saying? You've got Lewis Hall, who plays left back for Newcastle from Chelsea. You've got the Livramentos. Like, these are young ballers. That's That's a young baller for me. Not these.
Lucas Bergvall's
and
a
they
young
get
baller.
into the team, and they
Trust
don't
me,
get.
trust me. Lucas Bergvall's a young baller.
You know, he's no, we're not doing this again. We're not doing this again with young baller. What is this?
I feel Bergvall is a younger. I feel he's a Conor Gallagher. He's full of energy.
No, he's got
that's
technique.
it.
He's a technical player.
That's why I didn't understand why we brought in Conor Gallagher, because Bergvall can do it.
Lucas Bergvall has got technique. That's the difference between him and Conor Gallagher.
Loads of players have got technique, though. What are we doing as Spurs fans here? What are we doing here?
What is Conor Gallagher worse or better than Bergvall? I want to know.
I actually thought Bergvall was better than Conor Gallagher personally. That's why I didn't understand the signing.
Wow.
Not legit. I was like, I said it. I said,
does everyone agree with that? Does everyone agree with that?
We've got
Bergvall
and Pap Sarr, who can basically do what Conor Gallagher
I agree. I completely agree.
Simple. Okay, so based on what you're saying, then, right, he should be in the team every single game, then, all right, and playing good every single game, then.
No, that's
he hasn't been great. He hasn't been great every single game.
That's based on what you're saying. You're saying to me that age doesn't matter. I'm telling you, age does matter.
No, it does matter. It does matter.
Exactly.
It does matter because there's a lot of people. No.
So in which case,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. No, because you're twisting my words now.
Which is it then? Does it matter or doesn't it matter?
It doesn't matter because there's lots of players that are the same age as Bergvall and then the team, and they're playing every single game.
Okay.
And they're playing well.
So Bergvall is what? How old is Bergvall? 19, 20, 19?
Oh, so now we're going to start looking at ages now.
No, you just made a point that there's lots of players of his age that play every single match,
which Deji's just literally mentioned. Lewis Hall.
I'm talking about in a key central midfield position. How many starting 19-year-olds are there in the Premier League who play every single match? 19.
So there's the point. There's the point then. So don't put him in the squad then.
No, what do you mean? There's the point. The point is he has to grow through this. He'll only get better for these minutes.
Okay, cool. But then if you're going to put him in the squad, he's good enough then. Right? If you're going to put him in the Champions League squad, which is...
I've told you he's good enough. You're the one telling me he's not. I'm saying he is good enough.
Okay, so he's good enough then. So we don't feel sorry for him.
He's a guy who'll get better.
I think the issue with Spurs, sorry guys, is that we are not providing the infrastructure. So there's a lot of potential. Exactly. I actually think Bergvall would have been better off going to Barcelona.
Of course he would have.
Because of the infrastructure. Because at the moment, there was a moment where, I kid you not, we had Alderweireld, Bergvall, Archie Gray, Matthias Tell, all on the pitch at the same time. It's impossible.
Yeah.
For me, it can only be one and at most two of these brothers that are learning. But you can't be having 4 or 5 of them. That's absolute madness.
This is what I said early on in the call, that it's about balance, that it's not about these individual players. When I hear about how Bergvall's not as good as people think, this one's not, it's not about the individuals. It's the combination, yeah? You can't have too many young players in the same team at the same time. Not too many young players who don't have Premier League experience at the same time, right? To have him and Tell in the team. Alderweireld only had a short period at Burnley before he came to Spurs. These guys don't have seasons and seasons of Premier League experience. And the ones that do, the Kuduses of this world, Kulusevskis of this world, Madisons, they're all down at the moment, right?
We're missing them.
We're missing them badly.
Xavi Simons is young as well. Let's not forget
Xavi Simons is young.
The Dutch Pretty Ricky that I was told that was really, really good. Let's not go about him.
I just feel like, for me, Tottenham, I think, like Alex, you said this, and this is something I do agree. We need to find who we are, and we need to agree as a fan base, who are we? I believe Tottenham is a big 6. So the energy that I come with and what my expectations are is of a team that sees themselves as a big 6. If Tottenham ain't a big 6, then I ain't streaming. Like I ain't contributing, because I'm not here to be polite like Bournemouth. Bournemouth fans will tell you, you know what, we might lose our manager, we might lose Iriola, and he's been great, and if a bigger club comes in for for Clivert.
It's the taking part. It's the taking part.
Nah, I'm not even. Nah. That
That's
kind
what
of
fans want you to be like. They want you to be apologist.
that lifestyle, that ain't the lifestyle. Nah, brother, I'm not. Don't call me, bro. If I'm coming there to be like, yeah, you know what, we're going down to Fulham. And Fulham's a big club. Nah, I'm done.
It's crazy.
That's what it is. So we need to agree: are we Tottenham or are we this new Tottenham? And I'm going to tell you now, I'm the old Tottenham. I'm the Tottenham that I could go out on road with chest. Even when we were 8th, 9th, 8th, 7th, I could still go out with chest with the belief that one day we'll turn it around. And I saw that the tide turn under Poch. But this new Tottenham, George, you're absolutely right. We are hovering above relegation. That for me is
yeah, it's too low. That's
wait. Quick one. Did Bournemouth win today?
No, they
were losing at one point. It was a draw.
Draw.
Okay.
Look. For me, the same. There's a point in any kind of rebuild where it's just too low. Like this is too low, right? I could put up with a certain kind of mediocrity for even 2 seasons. You know why? Because I think with this lot now, this isn't a winning window. It's not like when we had that Vertonghen, Alderweireld, Dembele, Son. That was a winning.
Wait, Frank, you want not Frank, George. George, you want Frank gone, right?
Yeah, and I'll explain to you why.
Go on.
For me, this is not a winning window. It's not a window where I see players who are ready to win. It's about bringing the right manager and they'll win. I'm looking for a manager now who's going to build this thing in such a way that makes me think in 2-3 years' time we're a winning club. I see a really good profile of young players. A lot of them aren't with us this second. So, Vuskovic is unbelievable by all accounts. He's not with us at the moment, but this is valuable experience for him at Hamburg. Yeah, he's going to come back and he's going to be an asset for us. Luca Williams-Barnett. I mean, look, I've not been one when I've been on my appearances to talk about in the know people and knowing people at clubs, but Chuba Akpom, who used to play for Arsenal, is at Ipswich now. He's a relative. He's related to me. So I've got a Gooner now in the family. Yeah.
I like him, by the way. I think I would have him at Spurs.
Well, I knew through him like how good Morgan Rogers was because they had a Middlesbrough thing, when he was there.
I wanted Morgan Rogers.
He was raving.
I like
every single person in football, like of Chuba's age and around that, everybody knows as it's almost a written fact that Luca Williams-Barnett's the best under 20 player in the country. Like everyone talks about it as if that's not even a debate. Like he's on another level because he's got the body type, the mentality, the technique. He's like, we haven't heard this sort of hype for a young British player at that level.
Go on. Finish it.
So my point is this. That's the generation, right? It's him. It's Vuskovic. It's at the top end, it's Van de Ven as a slightly older player, right? So of the guys who are starting now, maybe Van de Ven captains this ship of these guys. Yeah, it's about putting in all the right.
Yeah, Van de Ven's gone.
Well, if he's gone, he's gone, right?
Van de Ven's gone.
If he's gone, he's gone. My point is, this is a period about putting in all the right cogs that make me think in a couple of years' time we can actually compete. I don't think Frank is showing me enough now for me to believe he's the guy who should be steering this ship.
Right, I hear it. Right, okay, so all right, we get rid of Frank. Let's talk about Hytinger.
Oh, Heitinger's not, but that would only be for like a short period. He's not the man for this job, of course not.
Yeah, no, of course, but then there is a potential. Like, I don't know which way this goes. I'm just doing my job as a host, but there's a reality where Heitinger takes the job and we go further down. Because that February, we've got Manchester United, Man City, and look, we used to own Manchester. Yeah. I'm not sure for your Manchester anymore. I'll be real. I'm a bit nervous in that Manchester fixture.
We ain't doing Jack no more.
That's what I'm saying. Then we got Newcastle and then Arsenal to finish it off.
Well,
Heitinger has got a manager or Frank continues to manage, but
I
then you're like,
Frank is gone. I think Frank is gone. The problem is at the moment is the interim at the moment, and they ain't got a clue who they want. Because the thing is, I don't like Heitinga, because from what I've heard from people that know about Ajax, he was terrible. He was absolutely terrible from what I heard.
Yeah.
So that's not a good choice at the moment. Then you're looking at Mason, possibly. I don't know.
Hell no. Hell no.
So you're running out of ideas at the moment, and that's why I'm saying at the moment that I think Ange might be the scenario here, which I don't. Again, listen, I don't even want this, but because
I beg your pardon,
Alex would lose credibility if they did that.
It's not even credibility here. It's just I'm looking at how we are at the moment in terms of who's making the decisions here, right? And they're not making decisions at the moment, so they might be desperate. And the way the fans are being at the moment, half the fan base will take that guy back, right? I don't want him back. But I can see that happening. I can see it happening because it just comes into my head.
I hear you. You're right. I think had he not taken the Nottingham Forest job,
yeah, exactly,
it's definitely back in. But because of that shambolic of a performance at Nottingham,
listen, Deji, I'm hoping I'm wrong. But the thing is, though, because of what I'm seeing at the moment, and Paratici leaving, and he has scenarios already, right, in place, and they said no. I'm just like sitting there thinking, what are we gonna do, mate? Because at the moment, I don't know what we're gonna do. We're gonna have to get rid of all that coaching staff as well. So that's money as well. So it's just like I don't know what they're going to do.
I will say this. Look, I agree with you, Alex, but I feel like, and I felt like, and this was before Ange came in, the mood and the atmosphere around Spurs was that we need to bring in a big name. We were talking before Ange, Nagelsmann, that kind of level. And I actually think had they brought in the type of manager that Spurs fans were after, we would have been patient. So, for example, you brought in Nagelsmann. Nagelsmann starts off slow. I don't think we have kittens the way that we're having kittens because we believe that the manager can turn it around. What happened is you brought in Ange, who we didn't want. The majority of Spurs fans didn't want Ange. The ones that claimed that they liked him from Celtic, I still scratch my head till today. And then nobody wanted Thomas Frank. We started lying to ourselves, and Tottenham fans started saying, "Oh, he's a good manager." I was like, "What are you talking about? This is Thomas Frank. This is a sideward step." If the board go out and get a name like the ones I mentioned, even Xabi Alonso, I'm telling you now, he could lose 6 straight games. They will give him time because we know what he did at Bayer Leverkusen. These managers ain't getting time because they ain't done nothing, and then they ain't doing nothing. You get what I'm saying? So you can't get time to say that they ain't got no proof.
But it's a couple of different things there. If we were going to make a full-time appointment now, we might be able to get a name, right? Because we're lucky in this specific period right now, this week, there are names on the market who haven't got clubs, right? It might be possible to get a name, but I don't think we're going to do that. I think if we fire him this week or next week, it is going to be an interim until the end of the season. And then we would be looking to get a name or the right person in the summer. So the question that we need to ask ourselves now is, which kind of interim do we feel comfortable enough with that isn't going to make things worse before it gets better? Because worse could mean absolute disaster from this point, which is why I said I would have got rid of him before the West Ham game, because West Ham and Burnley represented a good start potentially for an interim who was coming in. It's like, can you win these 2 games? That enough gets us to 30 points. And then the rest of the things, season takes care of itself. Now, we're at 40. Yeah, but I'm going to assume we don't lose every single match between now and the end of the season, right? If they got to 30 by end of January, we would be good to at least not be in an actual relegation battle. Yeah. So for me, the decision had to be made before the West Ham game. From this point, it's a bit more delicate than that, because if we mess up against Dortmund tomorrow and then we fire him, an interim would have a couple of days to work with these players at the most before an important Burnley match. You lose that, you've then got a horrible run of fixtures, and before you know it, this interim is then going to be getting the same treatment as Thomas Frank.
I think we're messed up already because I don't believe that we've got good squad anyway at the moment.
That's an injury. This is my point. Any manager with this specific squad where we've got 11 men available, or let's say it gets better by the weekend to 15 men available, they're going to struggle. They're going to struggle with whoever, right?
That's why I'm saying that Frank is. Even if Frank was in charge, but I see your point. It's just at the moment I don't know what I've got no idea what scenario, what interim can come in right now. I've got no idea, and I don't think they've got any idea themselves.
I think they're banking on a sort of fan favorite with managerial experience, a Hoddle or a Klinsmann, somebody that loves the club enough that they probably would do it in the way that some of those Man United guys have stepped in for short periods because they are part of the club's DNA.
Would you take Hoddle?
I take Tim Sherwood.
Hoddle's football knowledge is almost second to none. His problem is he always found was just how to communicate that in a humble way to players. Tom Huddleston would tell those stories about how on the training ground, Hoddle was saying, "Give me the ball," and showing them how to make a proper pass because he was still the best player right up until the age of 50-something.
That's not a pass.
Yeah, exactly. And this is Tom Huddleston, and this is Tom Huddleston who could actually pass a football, right? So there's always going to be days. But Hoddle, I do think when I listen to his analysis now, unlike a lot of the guys of his generation, his analysis still feels relevant to today's football. I think he understands today's football. He doesn't speak in archaic terms tactically. He understands the game still. On a short-term, lift the fans' basis, if his heart holds out, because I know he wasn't very well, Hoddle in a short term would be just fine if I know for sure that come the summer, we make a serious appointment or two. When I say or two, there's a lot of talk now about Nagelsmann at the end of his Germany stint comes as a package with Rangnick. Now, Man United may not have liked Rangnick as a coach, but he's an amazing director of football. And those two as a pair is the sort of thing I could buy into as a fan.
Yeah, Rangnick. I think what you're talking about, Rangnick. I think you're on something there because there you get an identity.
Exactly.
At the moment, that's where because my issue at the moment is I think what is the identity of Tottenham? Are we there to win, or are we there to just play good football?
Just to exist.
At the moment, I want good football. I don't think we're ready to win. I don't think we're ready to win at all.
So you're agreeing with me. This is a window for identity, style of play. And in a couple of years' time, when these young players I've mentioned start to really come into their own, then the expectations change. For now, this is why I'm not in favor of Frank, because even this Frank stuff working, let's imagine it worked. It's not where I'm at. That's not where I'm at with these players. I want a different identity on the pitch. So I forgive Frank for us being where we are in the league because that's not entirely down to his coaching. Circumstances haven't gone his way. But it's a separate question of have I seen enough to give him the keys to all of this in the next 3-4 years? No, nowhere near enough.
One question, guys. Because I have to go now.
Me too, man. I've got to run.
Me too. I got to go as well.
I got a wild one. I got a wild one, but I can't give my opinion on it, or maybe I can.
You can, man.
Would you take Amorim?
No.
But do you know what? I spoke to my brother about this the other day. His 3-4-3 is perfect for our players. It's perfect.
That's why I asked the question.
I wouldn't because do you know why I wouldn't?
I think because
I wouldn't, and I'll tell you why. Because our fans simply would make it impossible from the beginning. Our fans would bring too much baggage.
That's why that wouldn't work.
But he is perfect for the players we've got.
You know what it is? I'll finish on this. We need a manager that can bat up Romero because I'm telling you, bro. Hey, Frank went to bring on Danso. And Romero gave him one look.
I know.
Hey, Danso was fully dressed, you know?
Yeah.
Danso took the bib off. He was ready to come on. Romero was like, don't think about it. Don't you dare. And Danso had to go back on the bench. And Bergvall came on. He was doing the throws.
This is what I've been saying.
They were said Ben Jacobson was like, right, he was outside the changing rooms. And all he could hear was, Romero giving it to man. You get me? I can imagine like Frank be like this or Frank be like this.
Man, them are not happy with me in the chat. They're not happy with the Amarin. Do you know what Amarin is?
Yeah.
I think the Man United players just didn't suit him, bro. Like George is legit. That's why I knew Amarin weren't going to do that in there, because those players, I call them frumpy. Casemiro's heavy, Zerpi's heavy, all heavy guys.
Exactly.
People who can just run. Do you know what I mean? And that's why I think he could actually do a job with Spurs. It would be crazy.
Remember who his right wing back was at Sporting Lisbon? It's Porro. It's literally our player. He was the top assist guy in Europe.
I'm telling you.
Anyway, guys, on that note, I'm going to end the show. It's getting a bit late.
Hi, man. Good to see you all, man. Nice to meet you.
Big up, man. Make sure you guys aren't strangers, as always, in the chat. Please make sure you're liking. We need to get this show seen. Got different views to other channels as well. Trying to do it a little bit different to the rest of the Spurs community, as always. But yeah, please make sure you do subscribe and tell a friend to tell your enemies. You never know. Your enemies might like it too. How about that? But yeah, big up each and every one, man.
Safe. Yeah, take care.